Hello and welcome to another edition of Chatting with the Pros. I am Renee Boston. I am one of the attorneys practicing law here at Boston Law Group LLC in Maryland. Today we have a special guest for you today. We have attorney Nyasha West. She is practicing out of Baltimore. She has agreed to join us and provide us with some very helpful information during this time, especially during this time where kind of jobs are uncertain and finances have hit a little bit of a tumble. But I want to tell you a little bit more about Attorney West. She practices in the area of bankruptcy. She does car wrecks, premises liability, products liability cases. So if you have any other issues with that, at the end of the video, she's going to provide you with some information on how to contact her directly. But I wanted to talk to her a little bit about bankruptcy and specifically how or what we anticipate or what we can kind of expect or have seen recently with bankruptcy in terms of finances during the COVID-19 quarantine and in place and sheltering in place kind of crisis. So I wanted to talk to her a little bit more about that. So welcome, Attorney West. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I want to talk to you a little bit because in my practice, in the birth injury and medical malpractice realm, we see bankruptcy typically when families come to us and they're kind of at their wits' end. Medical bills are piling up, stacking up. They don't know what to do. They start thinking about, is bankruptcy an option, and what they should do regarding that. So that's kind of how it comes up in my practice. So can you tell us a little bit about bankruptcy in general? I understand, I'm a novice on it, so I don't know too much, but I know there's typically 3 categories. I've heard of the 7, 11, and 13. I don't know anything about which one. About 7-Eleven was a convenience store. I don't know. So just kind of give us a quick, a brief snapshot as to the generals of bankruptcy.
Okay. Well, in my practice, pre-COVID at least, medical bills were the number one reason why people filed for bankruptcy. So people who are interested in filing for bankruptcy, they typically either file a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13. Chapter 11 bankruptcy is typically used by businesses who are trying to reorganize their debt. But most consumers file either Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy is one that we usually refer to as a total liquidation bankruptcy. That's because filing Chapter 7 allows the debtor to totally liquidate most of their unsecured debt. So that would be things like medical bills, credit card bills, personal loans. If they have a deficiency balance after repossession or after foreclosure, they can put all those things into the Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And at the end of the bankruptcy, when they get their discharge, they're no longer legally liable for that debt. A Chapter 13, on the other hand, is used by people who cannot file a Chapter 7 for various reasons, or by people who are trying to save a house from foreclosure or a car from repossession. And with a Chapter 13, basically, you are reorganizing your debt so that you become current on the secured property that you're trying to save with the bankruptcy. And at the same time, you're discharging some or all of your unsecured debt.
Okay. That's okay. So I understand a little bit more about that right now. Let me ask you this too. Because I know like right now, last set of statistics I read about, it was over 600 people in the state of Maryland have filed for unemployment. And I know there's probably a lot more than that are underemployed or not getting, they were full-time and now they're getting a quarter of the hours that they have been getting in the past. What advice do you have for someone who's in a situation where they're either underemployed or unemployed? What can they start doing now while we're pretty much all at home to prepare if they need to, or if they think that filing bankruptcy will be something that they need to look into when we get out of this situation?
Right now, people can just start if they're sure that they want to file bankruptcy. Once we're back to whatever our new normal is going to be, they can start gathering the documents that they need to file for bankruptcy. So bankruptcy is a very paperwork heavy practice area, and there are several different pieces of information that debtors need to gather. So typically you need to gather 6 months of your pay stubs, um, tax returns, information about all of your assets and your liabilities. So if you have a house, a car, information about their values, information about what you owe on them. If you have a retirement account, you have to gather information about your retirement account. Then you also have to gather information about your liabilities. So usually I have my clients pull their credit reports if I don't pull it for them. And they can go to annualcreditreport.com once every 12 months and pull those reports for free. If they have already pulled them for free within the time period that we've spoken, then they can just go back and pull them again to get a more current copy. And those reports are usually about $8. So you would start gathering all of your documents. And other than that, there's not really much that you can do. I would advise that people who are thinking about filing bankruptcy particularly as a result of this situation, that they wait until they know what's going to happen with their finances. Because what you don't want to do is file bankruptcy in June 2020, and then in July you have some type of emergency where you end up incurring more debt, and then you can't file bankruptcy again.
Okay.
And that's because in a Chapter 7, you can only file bankruptcy once every 8 years. So you want to make sure you've incurred all the debt that you're going to incur so that you can discharge as much debt as possible when you file bankruptcy. So I would just advise people not jump the gun and file bankruptcy because of what's going on right this second.
Okay. So I can see that, because I think a lot of people right now are kind of contemplating, I haven't worked really since March. I haven't really been out of the house since March. There's no money coming in. I'm nervous. I want to just get ahead of what I think is expected to come. But like you said, that's a good piece of advice. Wait, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when businesses are going to fully open. You don't know what's going to bounce back completely. You don't know where you're going to stand. So that makes sense to kind of wait to see how everything plays out.
Right. And especially with the moratorium on the foreclosures and the evictions until July in Maryland, I say that if you don't need to file bankruptcy in order to maintain your place of shelter, then definitely try and wait it out as long as possible.
Okay. And for people like me, like I said, I have no experience at all with bankruptcies. With my clients with the medical stuff, we normally can work it out. If it's a financial issue, we can, we settle a case or we get a verdict or whatever, we can use those funds to, kind of get the family back on track so they don't need to file bankruptcy. So in a situation where somebody's thinking about filing, what do they need to know in the future as far as like fees for bankruptcy? Are there different fees for depending on which chapter you file, or do you have to come up with a lump sum in order to file? How does that work?
Well, there are court fees involved in filing a bankruptcy. So for a Chapter 7, the court charges $335, and for a Chapter 13, the fee is $310. And then, of course, there's the legal fees, and those fees just run the gamut. So there are some attorneys who charge $750 for a Chapter 7, and then there are some that charge up to $3,000 for a Chapter 7. With the Chapter 13, most attorneys will charge about $4,600. But then there are also some other attorneys who will charge an hourly fee. And if you're working with an attorney who charges an hourly fee, those fees can go up to about $8,000. But I think that the norm in Maryland is to charge $4,600 for a Chapter 13. The Chapter 13 fees, typically the attorney will have the debtor pay something down in the beginning. So in my practice, I have the debtor pay down what they would pay in a Chapter 7. So that would be $1,500. So you pay the $1,500 down, and then you put the remainder of your fee, the $3,100, into your bankruptcy plan. And what that means is that over the course of 3 to 5 years, instead of making a payment to me, the debtor is making a payment to the trustee that will cover my fee and the trustee's fees and amounts that are going to be paid to the various creditors. With the Chapter 7 That fee is, like I said, in my practice is $1,500, and it has to be paid before the case is filed, or else the attorney is not going to be able to collect the debt. So what happens in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, or in any bankruptcy, is that on the date of filing, um, the automatic stay goes into effect. And what that means is that no creditor can attempt to collect from the debtor, and they cannot contact the debtor for any reason whatsoever. So if I don't collect my fee before I file the bankruptcy, then I too become a creditor. And that means that once that automatic stay goes into effect, I can no longer contact you to be paid for the legal work. So Chapter
Wow.
7 bankruptcy attorneys will collect the fee before they file the case.
Wow. See, I didn't know that at all. So that makes sense too.
Yeah.
All right. So just so I understand just the kind of the brief snapshot of the work. I remember you just mentioned the trustee. So it's like all the funds go into a pot, and then the trustee kind of branches out where the funds go from the pot.
With the asset Chapter 7 and with a Chapter 13. So typically in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, the attorney prepares a plan that has to be approved by the court. And this plan says the debtor is going to pay a certain amount of money each month, and the trustee is going to disperse that money to various creditors. So that will be the bankruptcy attorney, the bank that holds your mortgage. If you put your car in the bankruptcy, then they'll be paying the bank that holds your car note. And then if the plan calls for you to make payments to some of your unsecured creditors, then the trustee will be sending out payments to some of those unsecured creditors. And that would be the same thing in an asset case with a Chapter 7. Most Chapter 7 cases are non-asset cases, at least the ones that I see in my practice. So what that means is that you're just going to pay your bankruptcy attorney her fee, you're going to pay the fee to the court, and then after that, the debtor should not be paying out any more money to any creditors because you have a no asset case. There's nothing to give any of the creditors.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. So let me ask you this in general, because I know every case is different, but is there like a set time frame or like a general time frame of how long it lasts from the date of filing to the date a person is completely out of bankruptcy?
With a Chapter 7, it takes about 3 to 4 months from the date of filing until the day that you get your discharge. The date that the case closes may be different from the date of discharge based on different things, but once you get your discharge, that means you're no longer legally liable for that debt. So debtors just really care about the day that they get their discharge. They're not so concerned about the day that the case closes. And with the Chapter 13, the debtors are typically in Chapter 13 bankruptcy from 3 to 5 years based on their income. If something happens to their income, if a spouse dies or they lose a job or they suffer some other hardship during the course of their Chapter 13, then they can, in very rare instances, they can increase the plan from 3 to 5 years to I think we're up to about 84 months now with this COVID-19 situation that we're in now. When it's not a pandemic, then they can typically increase their plan up to about 72 months. In the alternative, if they are just going to be unable to make any more payments on the plan at all, then they can request a hardship discharge, and that would be the same as if they had done a Chapter 7.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, you've given me a lot of information today. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to cover, or to kind of point people in the direction if they're thinking about it, or anything that we may have missed?
I think if people are thinking about bankruptcy, like anything else, they should just do their homework. There's a lot of information out there on the internet, so you just kind of have to sift through it and just get the basics of what bankruptcy is, so that when you talk to your attorney, you'll at least know what chapter of bankruptcy she's going to steer you towards, and so that you'll know what to expect. So you'll know what documents you have to get, how long the process is going to take. But other than that, bankruptcy is pretty straightforward for most people. people, especially for my clients. I don't deal with a lot of high net worth clients. So my clients are typically no asset Chapter 7 bankruptcy cases. And so their process is relatively easy. Like I said, it takes about 3 to 4 months from start to finish. Most people say that, after speaking to a bankruptcy attorney, they feel so much lighter, because walking around with all of that debt on your shoulders and having creditors harass you all the time when you're at work, when you're at home, they're calling you on your cell phone. That's just very overwhelming, and it's very stressful. So once you talk to a bankruptcy attorney and she lets you know, this is not as bad as it seems. We just have to do A, B, C, and D, and then you'll be rid of this debt forever. You'll have a financially fresh start. Before the process even starts, most people just feel better immediately. So I have many people tell me I feel so much better after just a 15-minute consultation. And, that really makes it, doing what we do, worth it, to be able to help people sleep better at night and, just be less stressed.
Right, I can definitely see that. I can definitely see being, because people don't realize that with attorneys we're called counselors too, and to a certain extent, because we do have to kind of counsel our respective clients in our practice areas, and that little bit of counsel sometimes can alleviate a lot of pressure and anxiety that these people are facing with whatever situation they're going through.
Right, exactly.
So once again, thank you very much, Attorney Nyasha West, out of the West Law Firm in Baltimore. Can you please provide the people with your website and phone number? Because I want to make sure if they need to reach out to, I'm sorry, your website and your email address. Because I want to make sure if they can reach out to you and get to you, and directly to you, and not pass go and not get lost. If there's somebody named West in Baltimore, I want to make sure they get directly to the right person.
Well, thank you. So like you said, the law firm is West Law Firm. Our website is nawestlaw.com, and you can email me at info@nawestlaw.com. Or if people don't want to email, they can always give me a call. The number is 301-798-4100.
And again, I thank you very much, Attorney West. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And good luck. Stay safe during the quarantine season. And and good luck in business.
Thank you so much. Good luck to you. It was great speaking with you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.